welcome back to Bleach Anime Review. This is part 4, not 5, I was mistaken. And also some of the stuff I said about, stuff with Uru fighting fighting the female villain. Yeah, that actually happens in Season 8. Yep. And I believe this is the season where meets up with that mad scientist guy. No, actually, that is not actually the case. That happens in a later season. Well, when it comes to this particular season, this is where the fighting gets really intense with the Arrancars. While everybody defeats their respective foes, there is this. There's also a thing with Orihime, where the guy who kidnapped her in the previous season gives her a new attire, an attire that she keeps for what I can tell up until season 14 with the whole Arrancar stuff. It's just like it's the same outfit that all the rest of the Arrancars wear, this all white outfit, except this one covers her from head to toe. And yeah, and there's these two female Arrancars who are jealous of her because the fact she has their boss's favor, and they think they don't. So they decided to simply beat her up in her quarters. Well, her cell anyways. Yeah, they decided to beat her up. Well, one of them gets really jealous, the other one really doesn't want to really much do it. And then all of a sudden, completely out of nowhere, Green Job shows up. Not kidding. And the reason why he helps her out? Because he restored his arm. That is really the reason why. I am not kidding. Now while all this is going on, you have Ichigo still looking for Orihime, and he runs into Orudu. I think that's how you pronounce the guy's name. I keep mispronouncing this guy's name. Let's see. Where is he? Orikawa? I think that's how you pronounce the guy's name. Yeah. He confronts Ichigo and says, yeah, I'm the guy who kidnapped Orihime. And he's, of course, at this point carrying Nell, the little girl, which they figure out exactly who she is in a couple of seasons. Basically, slightly drops her very carefully and confronts him, basically, and goes full Bankai and full Hollow form, because he received training from the Vazards in Season 6. Which he had to slightly abandon, which he had to put that on hold because of Orihime, because of the Arrancar attack, because the last one they had in the town, and of course Orihime be kidnapped, and he basically wanted to finish this fight quickly, even though he is an Espada, very powerful one, mind you. And this guy basically is holding back the powerful attack with one hand, and then he takes out his other hand in his pocket and tries to stop it, and the attack basically doesn't do a scratch to his body, it just burns up parts of his clothes. Basically, it burns up part of his sleeves and also burns up part of his top of his coat near his collar. And I'm like, that's it? That's all the power that he has that apparently he does. Okay, fine. And then he's like, okay, let's just beat the crap out of it. Let's just knock him off a building and then knock him to a pillar, which somehow he survives, and puts a hole in his chest. Same place where he does it to his other people. To his other people he fights, and apparently he does it he does it subconsciously. He doesn't even where it does it. Green Job reveals this later when he brings Orihime to heal Ichigo just so they can fight. And they do fight for several episodes. And the fight is really intense. It's like it basically goes so crazy, and even Ichigo decides to go to Hollow form now. Orihime looks like she's scared of the form. And of course, he also asks to put up her barrier thing. Well, it's one of her 3 abilities she can do. She can put up a defensive barrier, heal people, and attack people with one fairy. So basically, she keeps up the entire fight. And when she sees Ichigo, she gets a little bit scared, but she gets over it. And Nell is cheering Ichigo on, and Orihime, she's asking, why is Orihime cheering him on? And she just doesn't really know why. and Nell tells her basically that Ichigo does care about her, and she's the reason why that he came to Wakamundo. When she finished explaining, it's like, okay, yeah, I better cheer him on. And then she's almost like, Ichigo, please don't die. Yeah, tell him don't die. And he's like, yeah, I won't die. I want to finish this up right now. And so he decides to make a big speech about how he's going to defeat Green Jiao, Arrancar, and Izon, and take all of his friends, and basically finish the fight with a big stab wound to the chest, basically defeating him. And then the thing ends with like saying, okay, let's go home. Though this gets kind of changed in the start of Season 10. Then comes Season 9, a filler season called the Captain... How do you pronounce the guy's name? Yeah. Captain Shūsuke arc. And also, yeah, basically this is a filler season, but I'm kind of like, when the heck does this take place? Because everybody still have the same power set they have from the previous few seasons. And does it take place like after they defeat Izon or some point? It's very questionable exactly when this filler arc takes place. As a matter of fact, this filler arc is never referenced at all later on from where I'm up to right now in Season 12. It's never referenced. The bounce are referenced because that easily fills in the gap between the Soul Society arc and the Arrancar arc. Well, this one kind of feels like, yeah, this was made for the show because they felt like it. And they spent something going back and forth between the Soul Society and, of course, the real world, which in the real world there's this clan princess who stays there because, well, her viceroy is trying to kill her and take over the leadership of the clan. And involving these swords that are illegal. It's a pretty intense season, and as for who the main villain actually is, it comes completely out of nowhere in the last, like, 2 episodes of the season. Yeah, we finally think that this guy is the villain. Nope, it's this other guy the villain, the captain, who basically this whole season was developing. Turns out, he's the villain, because apparently Captain Yamato apparently killed his father. Though it's actually revealed that the reason he killed his father because he got possessed by that evil sword. That is really the reason why. But it's still an interesting season nonetheless. It has some comedic moments here and there. And that's really it. Nothing really much to talk about except that you have some fights, obviously, between like having Chad, Uryu, and Ichigo take on these assassins, trying to prevent this princess who basically looks like a 12-year-old child, 13-year-old child, prevented from being assassinated, and they spend most season dealing with this, and of course then they go back to the Soul Society, which there's some fighting between Ichigo and and Captain So Fang. It's like a bit head scratching, something a bit confusing. It's like, what the heck are they doing? It's an okay of a season nonetheless, but it's like, okay, it has some interesting kind of storytelling here and there, but it's kind of like some developments come completely out of nowhere, and yeah, and also one of our bodyguards apparently doesn't like, basically is embarrassed by his voice, so he tends to speak in sign language. Though when she hears his voice the first time, basically it's very squeaky noise. Yeah. So nonetheless, it's a pretty decent season nonetheless. So nothing really much else to say. Of course, Chad and Uri get injured, and Orihime decides to stay behind. Chad and Uri don't do very much this whole season at all. Heck, Orihime does a little bit more than they do. Yeah. And the season ends quite nicely. But, yeah. That's really it. Nothing really much to talk about when it comes to seasons 8 and 9. So, in the next part, which is definitely part 5, I'll talk about seasons 10 and 11. But stuff gets a lot more interesting. Okay? But until then, I will see you there. Bye.